so fucking excited for mashed potatoes. Okay. Hello. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another low fiber recipe on something that I used to eat all the time, and I know you guys have too. This is just a little zhuzh on a recipe we all know and love, chicken and mashed potatoes. When I was on the low fiber diet, that's literally all I ate was chicken and mashed potatoes. Because, you know, you really do feel like you're limited and feel like you can't eat anything. We have our helper here, Penny. Say hello. Thank you so much for helping us. This recipe is also Penny approved. I need you to sit down. Can you do that for me? Oh, thank you. There you go. So you might be thinking, well, if it's chicken mashed potatoes, who cares? Like, that's super, super easy and basic. And it absolutely is. This is just a very flavorful chicken that's super, super easy to make, and it's going to be a low fiber recipe meal. If you are new to my channel and have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to my low fiber series, it's that every single meal that I make that I'm calling low fiber is going to be 2 grams of fiber or less. So I will be including vegetables, and I will explain that later on. But I thought it'd be a really good idea to start off with something that is super, super basic. Everyone loves mashed potatoes. It's a really great comfort food. And so I'm just gonna zhuzh up this chicken, and hopefully you guys really like it. If you are new to my channel, please like this video and subscribe. Join the CROHN'S crew. I need my chicken. First things first, since we're using Instapot, if you guys don't own an Instapot, you need to. My boyfriend's mom bought me the tiny one, the tiniest size, just for one person. And I highly recommend it because it has changed my life and has made everything so easy. The cooking the potatoes is going to take the longest. So we're just gonna chop them up, put them in here. Let me wash these potatoes really quick and I will be right back. Okay, so obviously everybody has their own way of making the mashed potatoes that are perfect for them. For me, I like having the skin on, and I don't know, I just feel like it gives it some texture. I don't mind chunky mashed potatoes. I know some of you might be yelling at me, saying, how could you? Mashed potatoes are meant to be smooth. You do whatever is best for you, so I'm not really gonna go into this. All I do is put water in the pot with the potatoes. I don't salt it yet. I kind of base it off of like how much salt I'm adding to the rest of my meal. And I'm just cutting out 5 potatoes that are going to fit into my little pot. Okay, so now all of these potatoes have been chopped up. I'm not going to show you how to do that because it's, you know, it's easy. Fill it up with some water and put it in the Instapot. Cook it for about 15 minutes. And then it will be ready. It does take a while for your Instapot to reach pressure, so it will take longer than 15 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the chicken. Right here I have 3 boneless chicken breasts, and I think what I'm going to do is just put them in this bowl, and I'm going to set them aside so they can marinate just for a little bit. This recipe is super, super easy. You don't even have to marinate it if you don't want to, but I recommend it. I feel like the flavor really seeps into the chicken and it's a bit flexible. So if you guys have ever had like an Italian chicken breast, it's basically going to be like that, but we are going to add one more ingredient that's really going to take that flavor and make it so, so good. And you have options for this. So I'm gonna give you 2 options that is going to dramatically change the flavor, whichever one you choose. You could just do it with the spices I'm going to use, but using one of these is really going to completely change everything. So the first thing I'm going to recommend is use white cooking wine or red wine vinegar. Okay, let me just tell you, white cooking wine has completely changed the game for me. It makes everything I cook it with, typically chicken, is just so flavorful. And it really just seems like, you know, not only can you taste the wine and it tastes good, but it just makes all of these flavors so much more colorful and vibrant in your mouth. So I'm probably gonna go with this one just because it's chicken. But if you're a Filipino and have ever had adobo, you know that vinegar is a staple in a Filipino household. Red wine vinegar is so good, and it does go really well with chicken. A lot of people try to have red wine just stay with the red meats, and you absolutely can do that, but it does go well with chicken. If you were going to follow this recipe, I'm going to use a lot more white wine than I am of red wine, because one, red wine and I don't get along that well, and also this is a vinegar. And so I guess you can do this with normal red wine, it's just whatever you prefer, but the red wine is an extremely strong flavor that might overpower all of the other seasonings, and so you might just want to dull this down with either adding some honey or adding tomato paste so it isn't as acidic. With that being said, I think I've sold myself on the white wine. So let's get started with the chicken. Okay, so here we are with our chicken blend. And for the sake of measuring everything, I'm going to use some smooths, but I know that people say to avoid adding so much salt to your meals, but the trick is to add more salt to your uncooked meats, because it really tenderizes the meat and it makes them extremely flavorful. I'm also going to add some black pepper. Just a little bit. To the white wine, we are going to add 2 tablespoons. Lastly, we are going to top it off with some olive oil. Like I said, this recipe is so easy. We're just gonna let that chicken set aside. When you do cook chicken or meats in general, you do want them sitting at room temperature for about 15 to 20 minutes so they are not freezing cold once you put them on your pan, oven, whatever you want to do. You want them to be a little bit close to room temperature so that they cook evenly. Now on to the actual fiber part. So chicken, and I don't think mashed potatoes has fiber. I can Google that for you though. Okay, so I lied. Yellow potatoes, those are Yukon potatoes, per 148 grams is 2.1 grams of fiber. And so what we're going to do is just not eat 148 grams. Also, like I've said a few times in my How to Eat Vegetables meal, is that because we are cooking potatoes in a way that they're just going to be a formless item, that's going to be a lot easier to digest versus eating a whole potato that has fiber. Also, the skin contains the majority of the fiber. So if you have an extremely difficult time eating potatoes, make sure that you remove the skin. For me, I like it, but that is where the majority of the fiber is. So it would lessen the amount of fiber if you remove the skin, and then also make sure they're really good in mash. And I'll show you my very fantastic way of mashing potatoes. Also, if you are nervous about your weight gain when it comes to the low fiber diet, you don't have to eat mashed potatoes, or at least just have a small portion of it. You know, you can have 1 cup of mashed potatoes with a whole chicken breast, and that, you know, that's going to be okay. You need to remember that when you are super ill, your body does need more carbs than usual, and so I wouldn't worry too much. That's just my personal opinion. If you are worried about weight gain, then just lessen the amount of mashed potatoes. So yeah, anyways. The vegetables that we are going to use for this meal has fiber in it, obviously, all vegetables do, but this is how we are going to tweak it. So green beans, one of my favorite vegetables of all time. I really love crunchy green beans, and so you guys are going to have to cook this in the best way for you to eat. But 1 cup of green beans is 3.1 grams of fiber. So we are just going to make sure that we are under 1 cup to have green beans. And I'm just peeling off the tips. Okay. For the sake of this video, I'm going to cook a bunch of green beans because I can eat green beans, I can eat fiber. So you know, if I'm cooking, I'm going to cook as much as I want, but for the sake of this video, I will measure out my food so that you guys can see how much fiber content is in this meal. So there we have it. We have my chicken and mashed potatoes with green beans. As you saw, I measured out my green beans to be under 1 cup, so it should be less than 2 grams. Remember that when you cook your vegetables, I explained this more in the how to eat vegetables video I have, but remember that when you cook your vegetables, it's really up to you and how you want to do it. The more you cook it, the less fiber the cooked vegetable will contain. So though these green beans, 1 cup of them is like 3 point something grams of fiber, when it's cooked down, I wouldn't worry too much about it. And as long as you are under that 1 cup, you should be good, because this recipe is for 2 grams of fiber. I hope this video was helpful. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. It means so much to me. If you recreate this, please tag me on Instagram. I'll put it over here. Remember, you are never alone, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.